Boom, we're live, the FPL Double Up. Wes, I have to start with something. You might notice my hair's a bit all over the place this morning. And my rank is quite low. So I had an idea. I thought, if I wear a hat back to front like this, apparently when content creators do this regularly, it makes them have stupid ranks. I think there's a guy we all might know, FPL Raptor, who's in the top 1k, and he wears a hat like this in every stream. So I'm hoping A, this will hide my hair, and B, it'll increase my rank. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you just need a bald head now, and then you'll be ready to shoot at the ranks.
I've done this before, but I'm doing it again. It's Halloween, baby. It's my Raptor costume. I hope he's watching at some stage. But yeah, look, let's hope. I've rose tinted glasses on this week, looking at a green arrow when not many of us did. You're the second expert I spoke to this week, Wes, and you don't have a green arrow. What happened?
Yeah, it was a strange week, wasn't it? I think I had like 8 players blanking in my team. But it kind of felt like it was all right. I dodged a few players who I was pretty scared of. I was scared of Foden. I was scared of Saka. But my players who I had, who was differential to those players, also blanked. So it kind of just evened itself out. And I got a pretty minor... no sound, John.
I'm saying yes sound, I'm saying no sound. All my things say there's sound, so I have to assume there's sound. It's not like I didn't unmute something. Ignore that Muppet says Kidge.
Okay, so we can hear. I can't remember what I was even saying, but
I've pulled your team up on the screen. Basically, I've pulled the show arsewise. I've pulled your team up to the front. We'll look at how we got on. We'll talk about all the points. We'll do everything, and then we'll look at the team reveal / transfers for you. So 55 points. What went right? What went wrong?
Yeah, so I think it was only Haaland, obviously, that got the returns for me pretty much, and then a Ward over Pope definitely worked out well. And that was one of my only real decisions I had to think about. Benching Andreas was a bit annoying, but I was never really in the mindset of starting him with the other attackers I've got in my team at my disposal. I couldn't really ever squeeze him in. I might change that up this week, though, to be fair. And apart from that, like I said, it wasn't...
I'll tell you something. Ward over Pope is a great shout, Wes.
Yeah, I fancied it in the... Yeah, you go on.
Sorry, just it made all the sense in the world when you look at the fixtures, but I didn't even contemplate doing it, and I have both keepers.
Yeah, it's something that I've been monitoring over the last few weeks. I was very much anti Leicester defence, and rightly so, but they've obviously turned it around a little bit in the last few weeks. They had Wolves, who were obviously on the ropes, who are definitely a worse side than Spurs, even when they're playing well. Someone like Harry Kane as well can always score goals, so... I think it was more, I was backing the opposition of the other team more. So Newcastle obviously better than Leicester defensively, but was backing the other team that were playing against not scoring in Wolves, and likewise I was backing Spurs to score, and it just about worked out. I think he got 5 or he was reported to having 6 saves at first, so his points was almost a little bit higher as well, and I think he was on for 3 bonus as well before Castagna and Vardy combined late on to get some points. But yeah, happy enough with Ward over Pope. And like I said, other than that, my team is, Mitrovic got a goal, but it feels like most people have him. Most people had Haaland captain. A few of my mini league rivals didn't, which was nice. So I could actually celebrate the Haaland points rather than just thinking everyone has him. At least there was a little bit of joy there. But yeah, Bowen frustrating, Zaha frustrating. Tony, again, I've had him 2 game weeks, 2 blanks. I'm hoping he's going to improve now. But yeah. Let's go. If you've got a green arrow, John, let's see. I've got 55 points. I think about 58 or 59 would have probably got me a green, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, you're right on
caught
the
up in the colour of arrow sometimes. There you go, mate.
You're right on the cusp there, because your game week rank is just in the top sort of half. You're above average game week rank wise, and you're above the average points. It's probably just that you're in the sort of competitive part of proceedings of the overall ranks. Bowen, I suppose, is the one piece of heartbreak from your team this week that maybe needs half spoken about today. The penalty comment where he said that he kind of jokingly sort of said that he's definitely off penalties, didn't he? And he came off about 2 minutes before one was awarded, which was heartbreaking for Bowen owners, because that's half the reason they have him.
Yeah, exactly that. He was brought in for the penalties. He then missed one against Liverpool, which is... Missing a penalty is such a huge swing, because it's not... I actually prefer my players to get red cards, because it's kind of like a blank minus a few points, not a big deal, but the penalty miss takes off 2 points. The 5 points lost for not scoring. The bonus missed for not... in a low-scoring game, that would have probably meant bonus. So we got a 0 pointer that week instead of what was probably like a 10 pointer. So yeah, so annoying. And yeah, likewise again, it's just sod's law, isn't it? They get a penalty and he's off the pitch, but at least he couldn't. Last minute, if Bowen would have missed a penalty again, I don't think I could have taken it. So at least he couldn't miss it. That's what I'm saying to myself anyway.
My team's on the screen now, 58 points, and I said this yesterday when I was talking to Abdul, 24 on the bench. And I actually don't know why. I just think whenever I have Pope, I just think of Pope as like my keeper. He's locked on Ward's the dud on the bench. But Ward's became pretty good. And I actually think maybe if we had time for a podcast last week, I would have had Ward in goal. Because I know you would have brought it up. We didn't have. I was at a wedding on the Friday. The game week finished on Thursday and opened again on Saturday. We didn't have time to do one, unfortunately. But like when I actually look back in hindsight, I think because I was waking up on that Friday morning after the games all flustered at a wedding, I was just, I don't know, my only move I had in my head was Foden on Thursday night, and I think from Thursday I switched off. I didn't really look back. Tottenham, of course, like Pope was going to concede. And then Ward's there against Wolves who don't score goals. It's one of those where like, that's kind of making me feel like, I could have had a 64. But anyway, as you said, the late Castagna return was very much welcome. He got the assist, which got him the 3 bonus. A 12-pointer basically made my week because everyone, I think like a lot of people, everyone on my team blanked apart from Mitrovic and Haaland. So Castagna saved me from a decent, I mean, if he hadn't have got that and hadn't have got the bonus and whatever else, you're talking about probably a relatively substantial red. But instead I got a minor green from, I don't know, 957, 960 up to 922. Still a long way to go, but there's 2 halves to a season.
That Leicester clean sheet saved us. So again, for you, John, I guess your scenario was a little bit different because you had that Castagna there. So I know you had Trippier to sort of cover the Newcastle clean sheet, but with Trippier so highly owned, I didn't actually consider, I didn't think, I'll bench Pope because I've already got the Newcastle clean sheet covered. I see Trippier as just a non-player now. Everyone has him, right? So I just literally saw it's Pope versus Ward. In your scenario, I might have advised you just to stick with Pope, just because I would have trusted Leicester enough to sort of double up on their clean sheet for you. But what I will say about Castagna is Castagna's a great pick, John. I actually regret not getting on him a couple of weeks ago because he plays so attacking. Because James Maddison is their right winger, in inverted commas, but he basically floats in to play the number 10. Castagna is up and down that right-hand side, creating the width for them. As we saw, Leicester were 3-0 up, and in the 75th minute or whatever it was, Castagna is in the box squaring it to Jamie Vardy from open play. Like, why, at 3-0 up, he's not sat back like another fullback might be. He's basically there in possession. He has to become their right mid because, all their attacking players sort of shift central or shift left. So Castagna is a great pick. And I just saw some stats on match today before going live, actually, about how, I don't know how to pronounce the centre-back for Leicester's name. Is it Wout Faes?
Yeah, that's good. We'll go with that, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Close, they've had 6 games without him, conceded 16 goals. 6 games with him, only conceded 8. So it's doubly better, or whatever the maths is. You know what I mean? They're conceding fewer goals by having him in the team. So that's helped them. Start of the season, they was awful, weren't they? Which is why Ward was, firmly cemented to my bench, like you said. But just in recent weeks, I've kind of tweaked my thinking where I will probably make a judgment call each game week. Leicester have Man City this week, don't they? So we don't need to, we can just play Pope for sure this week. But game week 15 and 16, it will be back to a decision on a game weekly basis, I think.
Yeah, I think just mentioning Leicester's defence, I think Castagna, it was the first decision I made this season, kind of how I used to play FPL, where it was like very much an eye test vibe, where I was like, why is he in the box so much in this game? It was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was like watching match of the day. I might have even been watching the Leicester game, whoever they were playing at the time, can't remember. But it was like, why is he there? Why is he there? He's just had a shot saved. He's just crossed the ball. Why is he in the box again? It makes no sense. Make it make sense. And I was like, get him in my team. And it's paid off, thank God. I just want to shout a few people out in the comments there, Wes. We kind of got all guns blazing into this. FPL SWAT was in there, FPL Junkie, Sparta, lots of FPL names. Phil Plum there too. Nick's in the house, Juice World. With Lazzi is here. I see my friend Alex Dobbins. Fayad Rashid is in there giving out, I don't know, all sorts. No sound. There is sound, no problem. FPL Bob's here. Hey Mac, Sad MK, Loadsy is here. Aaron Alexander, thanks for being here, everyone. Drop a like in the video while you're here. We've had 200 people. Let's keep moving. So that's my team. We've had a look at your team. Wes, we have some topics to discuss this week before we go on. And miraculously, the hat, instead of getting hat hair, it kind of like perfectly sculpted my hair, I think.
Helped, yeah.
Very weirdly. It's almost like a magic trick.
Beautiful.
I know the back's a wee bit funky, but I mean, like, geez, what happened there? Anyway, first up, what were you going to say?
No, I was just saying that's good. And I need to interject quickly and say two things. Firstly, back what you said about the eye test, that just sums up how important the eye test is. And I noticed that with Castagne as well. Like I said, he was bombing on down the right in place of where Maddison's tucked in. I was just too hung up on, in my head, Leicester were too bad of a defence to go there. And obviously they've turned it around, and then you couple that with his attacking threat, and it's just all came together nicely. So yeah, a bit of a regret of mine. And the second thing I need to say is someone's at my door, so I should need to sort that out for like 30 seconds.
Go and get them. Go and bark at them. Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to hold the ship down. Was there something I needed to say? Anything I needed to do while Wes is gone? You can see Wes's dog's ear. If I pan the camera down, we might actually. If I pan the camera up, look at those cute little ears. Oh, there he is. I'm gonna have to get wet. Oh, you're back. Jeez, that was quick.
I'm back. Yeah, it was just. I thought it was someone actually there. It's just Amazon dropping off a package. But yeah, sorry, John. Let's crack on.
You just sit still for a second. Let me get you looking perfect, and let's get tucked in, sorted. All right. So first topic to throw at you. It's kind of the wider topic is the 8 million mids and that whole bracket, but Foden versus Saka. But even I want to lump in kind of Zaha to that equation, because I think a lot of people are sick of him and are debating going Zaha to Saka. That people are talking about -4s to do things like that. I think the wider conversation point here is just the 8 million midfielder and hits to move them or not.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So, spoiler alert on my team. I moved early this week for those hub members who have already seen my team reveal that I posted a couple of days ago. I've done Bowen to Foden, and I have a similar dilemma. Do I bench Zaha and play Andreas, or do I just play Zaha in a great fixture? And also, John, just before I throw it back to you, a couple more mids to throw into contention who are much cheaper, but they are performing like 8 million mids, which is Granit Xhaka, who has a great fixture this week and is having a great season, 5.3-ish million, something like that. And likewise, Almiron, who's 5.4 million.
Yeah.
Again, roughly, I might be slightly wrong there. But he's having an amazing season, and especially the last sort of 5 goals in the last 5 games, something like that. Both of those players aren't in my team. I'm thinking, why? They're providing such a great budget. You can save yourself 3 million on the likes of a Bowen or Foden and have not equally, maybe as good of an asset. I don't know. Just something to think about.
Yeah, I hear you. And we'll come back to 8 million mids, but just your budget point makes me think about Andreas as well. You wanted to speak about him becoming like a viable starting option. And actually, right on time, literally as I said it, Yelena pops up in the comments, I'm too nervous to bench Andreas after last week. Our exact talking point. It's hard to bench him whenever he's doing what he has us on edge.
I know. I tweeted a couple of days ago about how over the last 4 game weeks, the only game week where most of us needed him during the blank game week 12, he blanked at home to Villa. And then in all the other game weeks surrounding that, he's been getting assists. And yeah, he's a real good chance of assists. Excuse me. Because those corners he takes, some people take corners and they never get an assist. They could take 100 corners, 0 assists. But Andreas' corners are right on the money. He nearly got an assist for Mitrovic in that Aston Villa game. Tyrone Mings cleared it off the line. So, yeah, I'm nervous to bench Andreas as well. He's at home to Everton. Everton are a great team. At home, very poor away from home, generally speaking. So, yeah, I think I said this to you off air, John. I might bench Zaha, even though he's at home to Southampton and he's the more premium player.
Hot take alert.
I might at the minute how I've lined up, he is. So a slight knock to Haaland actually that's been obviously reported. If Haaland misses 1 game, I might, a lot of people will be tempted to jump to Kane. I've already used my transfer. I've got a good sub 1 to use, whether that be Andreas or Zaha. So if that happens, I might be happy to do so. And I think a lot of people will be in that boat. If you've got Haaland and he is going to miss 1 game, I know he's a lot of money. I know you could jump to Harry Kane, which is definitely a viable tactic. But you've also probably got a good first bench option to use. So, yeah.
Couple of things. Andreas has given me flashbacks to Souček Remember Souček, Wes?
Yeah.
We used to have a bad relationship with him where he'd score every week and we couldn't play him, and then you'd decide to play him and he wouldn't score, and then whenever you had him on your bench, he'd score. And heartbreak. I've a feeling Andreas is this year's Souček. But back just to Foden and Saka and that whole debacle. You know, a lot of people are saying to me like, "Oh, I've already made X move, or I've already done this. I've got my Foden in for my Bowen, for example, like you. Should I go Zaha to Saka for a -4? What are your opinions on taking hits to move around those 8 million mids?"
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's personally worth it. So I have that dilemma as well. Like I said, I could do Zaha to Saka for -4. I won't do it though because, I just think it could spectacularly backfire. That midfield option, whether it be a Zaha or an Andreas, could easily score you 6-7 points. So therefore, the -4, is Saka really going to get 11 points this week? I don't know. I feel like, is that really worth a -4? I don't think it is if you've got other good options. You know, if it's different when the other players aren't performing, and we're all kind of getting a bit annoyed with Zaha, but he scored a goal only a couple of game weeks ago, and over the course of the season, he's got a decent amount of goals. Over the course of the calendar year, he's got a decent amount of goals. Watching him with the eye test is frustrating, which is why I'm considering benching him. But like I said, even if I do bench him, then I can start Andreas. I'd probably rather start Andreas, save myself 4 points, and Andreas could even outscore Saka as well. So, not to say Saka's a bad option, or Foden, whoever you go for the -4, but I don't think I'd do it for -4 unless you've got an injury, a suspension, a really underperforming asset. Does that make sense?
It does. We are probably going to end up talking a bit more about those decisions when we do quickfire questions later. What are you smiling at? Has someone made a joke? Do you know what I know? I know what it is. Don't say it. It's because he's called you Billy Butcher. You love that, don't you?
Again,
you love it.
It just happens. It happens all the time on YouTube, but it just never happens in real life. It's a weird one.
I think it's in YouTube you can say it, but in real life with someone imagine someone coming up to you in like Super Value or like whatever you have at their Tesco, and someone coming over and being like, "Huh? What's Billy Butcher doing here? Huh?
Yeah.
Am I right? No one's gonna do it." Or is
have you ever been there? Tangent here, John, but have you ever been recognised out in public because of YouTube and stuff like that?
Twice. What, the first time?
Nice.
The first time was through Hub, actually. I was at a stag do in Killarney, and a guy brought me back to a house party, and it was very funny.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
It started out, or it was Kilkenny, it started out beautifully. He might be watching. He was telling me how everything was great. And then it descended into, after a few more cans at this house party at 4 a.m, into him telling me everything I did wrong and what I should do better, which is kind of funny. He went from super fan to ultra critic within about an hour.
Yeah.
My mates loved it because they were like, "Oh my god, John's famous." This was like a year and a half ago. This was back whenever I had like a couple of thousand subscribers as well. So everyone was like, what's happening here? And then he like started trolling me, and the boys ripped me about it for some amount of time. Like, you know, it was very funny. And then the second time was at the West Ham Man City game on the opening day of the season. I was walking around vlogging, and someone said, "John," which was kind of nice. But anyway, with two big hitters to talk about, have you ever been recognised? Because you're kind of just the, I don't do as much YouTube as yourself, but I do obviously a little bit. And then I've done the FPL show as well. So we was in London again with the Hub Boys, and someone came up and recognised me. I didn't know what was going on at first. I thought it was a joke. And he's like, "No, just someone gives someone a tenner to make you go like,
yeah." And then another time, this was the weirdest one. I was in an airport coming home from Austria. My missus was queuing. So my missus had to turn around and said, "Yeah, that is him." So they came over, had a chat. Two really nice lads. Hopefully they're watching now.
Look at us, acting celebrity, yeah.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, I wouldn't want to be. I like to keep a low profile, so it happens once in a blue moon. I couldn't be like, those proper famous people. Imagine being David Beckham trying to walk down.
Imagine being Let's Talk FPL.
He's getting hounded. Yeah,
he must get badgered.
Yeah, you'd think so, but maybe he just managed to keep quiet. I think he's over in Ireland with you, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's up in Galway. Speaking of which, Irish meet-up in Galway on like the 12th, I think. Whatever the Saturday is around that time. It's the 12th of November. I'm going to be there. Anyone who fancies coming, hit us up. I'll give you the details, but it's going to be great. I think there's a big beer garden booked out with a big screen. There's 4 belter games that day. Free to go. Just go and have some pints and have a laugh. All right, 2 big hitters to talk about, Wes. We're dilly-dallying. First up, I'm going to throw... Well, everyone's waiting for Haaland, so we'll talk about Salah first. Salah, disappointing again. I don't think anyone would have predicted he'd be down to 12.7 million. Or 12.8 million I have him here. He's showing two prices at the two different... He's showing 12.8 and 12.7 for me. Anyway, 3 goals this season, 4 assists. I know he has Leeds, right? I know he has Leeds. And everyone's saying, oh, you have to keep him for Leeds. But we had to keep him for Forest. We kept him for West Ham, probably. We had to keep him for Everton. We had to keep him for Bournemouth. He did nothing against any of these teams. When is enough with Mohamed Salah?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. So I was partially convinced by the hat-trick in the Champions League, and then definitely convinced by more so convinced with the goal he scored against City, and that performance against City. He looked absolutely superb in that game. So I thought, right, I'm going to get on Salah. It was, it coincided with the blank game week. It coincided with Maddison's suspension, and I could jump off Maddison, free up some money elsewhere, blah, blah, blah. Jump on Salah for what seemed like the stars of the line, because the fixtures on paper looked really good. It was West Ham home, like you said, Forest away. Now it's Leeds home, and they've also got a good fixture in week 16. So it seemed like a really good set of 5 fixtures to get him for. And he's been disappointing so far. I think it's Liverpool's team form that's really hampering him. Sometimes he's played out wide in a 4-4-2, sometimes up front in a 4-4-2. Klopp's making 5 changes per game because of injuries and suspensions, whatever else. Robertson and Trent aren't fully fit, / creating loads of chances for him. Thiago missed out last game, I think, at the last minute, which meant there was a real lack of creativity.
Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott, was it?
Youngsters. I can't remember who else. Maybe was it Henderson in there? I can't even remember. But
was it the 3 of them, or did Carvalho playing the left?
He's playing a midfield 4 at the minute, so Elliott and Carvalho might have been out wide with Henderson and someone else. I can't remember. I think Milner.
I don't know.
Yeah, but it's just a lot of Liverpool used to be a very settled fire. Trent, both Van Dijk on fire. Centre mid were just creating a platform for the attacking wing backs and the attackers just to create loads of chances and score, etc. But yeah, it's just not, they're so up and down at the minute. So I think there's a right or wrong way to play it. I think we said this off air, I said this to you off air, John, that you could literally make a case for Salah this week, but also if Haaland's injured, you can actually make a legit shout to captain him because it is Leeds at home. For me, like I said, I had Bowen in my team that I wanted to swap to Foden. So I am going to give Salah Leeds because obviously I don't want to take a -4 to remove Salah. But yeah, I wouldn't talk anyone out of removing Salah. He's definitely not. I regret going to him now because it meant I had to pivot off Harry Kane. My 2 premiums were giving me Kane and Haaland for the foreseeable. But yeah, Salah basically changed my mind. I then had to free up money from Kane, who went, he scored last game, didn't he? So not the end of the world, just 1 goal, but still, yeah, I regret do I regret it? Do regret, I think, not having Kane and Haaland. I took a gamble on Salah being back, on Liverpool being back, and it didn't. So far, it hasn't worked out. If Salah goes ahead and scores a brace this week, then it's all rosy, isn't it? But yeah, he's got Leeds this week, followed by Spurs away. So I think if he falters this week, you can sell him ahead of Spurs away, and then it's just 2 fixtures to dodge, isn't it, of Salah until the international break.
I think that's my play. My play's hold on to him until next week. Just give him this one, get rid of him for Spurs, probably use those funds to go down to someone and go up to Kane with one of my forwards, maybe, something like that. But Salah's just heartbreaking. And the biggest talking point before we get on to our differentials, we've so much to do here, Wes. Our differentials, we have to do our double up game, and we're going to do quick fire questions where we answer everyone's questions in the comments.
Go then.
But Haaland,
yes.
a hat-trick of injuries by the looks of it. This is your warning to make sure you place your vice-captain accordingly this week. This is your official warning. Go and do it now. Make sure it's not on some goalkeeper or something.
Yeah. I don't know if it's easy for you to do this, John, on stream, but if not, guys, you can go to Hub's Twitter, which is FFH_HQ. One of the top tweets is both an image with the quote from Pep saying about his injury, and there's also a link to an article with more detail. But essentially, Pep took him off at half-time because he was a little bit tired. Him and Cancelo were a bit tired. Him and Cancelo both had a bit of flu or something like that, and they weren't fully fit to properly go for it. And the third point about Haaland is apparently he had a bit of a knock to his foot. What I'd say is on the 40s, I watched that game last night. I noticed Haaland on the 47th minute come back onto the bench and watch the game. He was laughing and joking around with his teammates. Him and Grealish were having a laugh. and he was walking fine. At the end of the match, he was on the pitch talking to his old Dortmund teammates. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there's a quote. So yeah, like I said, he was on the pitch talking to his Dortmund teammates, walking around. So I think it's, I don't think it's anything too much in it. But what I would say is it's the early kickoff on the Saturday, so we'll probably get information Saturday morning. Maybe has he travelled, stuff like that, to the away game. There'll be training pictures maybe on a Friday. There'll be another manager's press conference. So yeah, definitely don't rush to sell Haaland because he may or may not be out. Doesn't seem serious at all. If he like I said, if he does miss one game, then it's a nice excuse to play Andreas and not have to worry about benching someone like, in my scenario, Zaha at home to Southampton. So yeah, for me, there's no panic about Haaland. Yeah. Like you said, John, make sure you're vice captain. If we get news he's definitely out, then you can obviously change your captaincy to the likes of a Foden or Salah or whatever. But for now, Captain Haaland and vice captain, be very definite on who you want that to be.
Yeah, and maybe with the yellow flag on Cancelo now as well. Don't have it as Cancelo. Not maybe that you probably wouldn't, to be fair, but yeah, just make sure you're sure that vice captain's going to play. But yeah, it's it'd be fun if it was thrown into disarray and Haaland didn't play this week. But as you say, it doesn't look too serious. I think that's why it's so important to wait. And I think the other side is, I don't know the exact numbers right now, but what did he start the season at? 11.5 million, and he's up to 12.2. Like, people thinking, I think it's pretty short-term thinking to be going Haaland to Kane, for example, for the sake of 2 or 3 game weeks when you're going to want Haaland come Boxing Day.
Yeah,
so
because game week... Sorry, just say, and on that point, to back that point up, game week 15 and 16 for Haaland are 2 easy home fixtures. I think one's against Brentford, who are awful away from home, and one's against, I forgot it now, but yeah, they've got 2 easy home fixtures straight after Leicester away.
I mean, if Haaland is confirmed out this weekend, I still think it's a mistake to get rid of him. Like, I just don't think you get rid of Haaland. Like, you didn't get rid of him for game week 12 in the blank. Why are you getting rid of him for another blank? Like, nah, it's not for me.
If he's missing for 1 week, I'm happy to do so. I actually did get rid of him for blank game week 12. I got rid so that I could afford Salah and Kane at the same time, and then I jumped back from Kane to Haaland. I lost out on 0.3 doing so. It was basically a gamble on Salah scoring really well, which didn't work out. So a mistake in a way. And yeah, I paid 12.1 for him now. So I am in the boat of overpaying for Haaland. So I essentially have 0.3 less in my bank to play with, which I did so knowing the scenario. And it didn't work out point-wise. I'll hold my hands up to that.
Right, let's go and have a look at a few of our nice little graphics that we've got made up. So first up, we have our differentials for the week. Calvert-Lewin, the one everyone's talking about this week, less than 1% ownership, 7.9 million. We know what he can do. It might be hard finding a slot from with, obviously we've got Mitrovic and Haaland kind of taken up too. But that third slot, at the minute, for me, it's Ivan Toney. A lot of people have different players. Maybe Calvert-Lewin's a nice short-term differential.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, it's only, I think, Everton's fixtures now. Again, I'll check that in a second. But their fixtures are pretty good now. Starting off with, I think it's Fulham away this week, isn't it? And then I think they might have a couple of home fixtures as well. I can't
Leicester
fully remember, but...
Leicester at home, then Bournemouth away, and then we break.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's decent enough fixtures, isn't it, to take a bit of a punt on someone like Calvert-Lewin. So yeah, absolutely. Especially as Mitrovic has obviously been really consistent this season. That he faces the 2 Manchester clubs in game week 15 and 16. I think Toney has, Manchester City in game week 16 as well. So even if you don't get Calvert-Lewin this week, maybe you want to see a little bit more from him, a bit more consistency. Then in game week 15, when Mitrovic does have 2 tough fixtures, you can jump off Mitrovic, knowing that you can jump back on during the international break. And you basically just avoid Mitrovic playing the 2 Manchester clubs. With obviously United have improved a lot recently, haven't they, as well?
Yeah, 100%. And Xhaka there, another midfielder down. I think you might have mentioned him earlier. We've got the Andreases and the Almirons. But Xhaka's in there, 5.1 million, just 3.8% ownership. I think early in the season he wasn't really a contender because, we were all going Jesus, Martinelli and Saka or White or Saliba or Ramsdale. Yeah. But, early in the season, straight out the bat, game week 2 and 3, he got goals and assists, 12 and 6-pointer. He went a wee bit of a dry spell, but... just assists, goal. Did he score in Europe or something too?
Yeah, that's right.
I just feel like he's popping up for a disproportionate amount of Arsenal attacking returns.
Yeah, it's the
price and ownership.
A bit like what you were saying with Castagna earlier about that eye test about what what we expect of players. And Xhaka used to be like a holding mid or centre mid. Now he is playing as a number 8, bursting into the box all the time. His goals aren't all from distance anymore like they used to be. I think his goal was in the North London derby inside the box. Again, this goal at Southampton, cross into the box. He's arriving there to finish it off. He had another shot inside the box, I remember, from that game as well, from a tight angle saved. Got an assist in his locker as well, some nice little crosses into Jesus. So, yeah, really, really good pick there. And like you said, I think if it wasn't for some players like Martinelli doing so well and other Arsenal assets and the sort of perceived history of Xhaka being a card merchant, a holding midfield merchant, then that's put him off us. That's put us off him. But yeah, he's such a valid shout. But again, they need to give us 3 or 4 transfers every week in FPL so we can actually jump on who we want to jump on because, like I said, I've already made my move. I wanted Foden in. I'm not going to take a -4 for Xhaka. I'm just not going to do it. But yeah, if I was wildcarding this week, he'd probably be in it.
That's a big statement. So Xhaka is there, 5.1 million, 3.8% ownership, and our most owned differential at 3.9 is Robertson, down to 6.7 million. In and out with injury, Liverpool all over the gaff. Clean sheets don't seem likely, but Robbo makes the list.
Yeah, again, it was finding that differential. I thought about Van Dijk at first, wasn't sure how highly owned he was, but he's quite highly owned. I think Van Dijk was the target from, he almost scored a few times against Forest. And again, Robertson does come with a lot of risk in terms of will Tsimikas play, how fit is he, fixtures. There's a couple of decent fixtures out of the next 3 for Liverpool, so it was mainly to target that. Maybe you could bench him for Spurs away. But the thing with Robertson is he's a defender who takes corners to the likes of Van Dijk, who can obviously convert.
Not if Henderson's in goal.
Yeah, that's true. And Henderson saved so many, and he just missed a load of easy chances as well. But yeah, I think Robertson, like I said, I haven't got a route to getting a defender that expensive in my team anyway, so he's not coming into my team. But I think if you're looking for a differential defender with Leeds home this week, I think there's a good chance for Robertson. But yeah, there's always risks with these differentials. Otherwise, they'd be much more highly owned, wouldn't they?
Absolutely. We'll move on to the double up section. We're going to pull the rules up on the screen now. So basically every single week we do this. We missed it last week, unfortunately. I know what you're smiling at. He's biting his tongue. Rule number 1, don't react. Rule number 1, below 1% top 10k combined ownership. So the 2 players we pick have to be owned by less than 1% of the top 10k combined. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, look at it and read it again. Rule number 2, you can't use the same team twice in consecutive game weeks. So I can't just pick Haaland every single week with another dud. And rule number 3, loser at the end of the season will shave off these beards. Well, one of the beards will be gone. I like to think Wes will get away with that a bit more. A beard is like a fat man's concealer. So I am absolutely screwed if I have to take this off. I will go from semi-handsome cheeky chappy to potato in about 8 seconds. I swear to God. So that's the forfeit. We look back at Game Week 11. Seems like a lifetime ago. We didn't stream for Game Week 13, unfortunately, because obviously very quick turnaround last week. But we got a couple in. First up was Game Week 11. I went with... this is Game Week 12. I've misnumbered these. Was it 12 and 13? Let's see. What on earth have I done? Okay, yeah, the graphic hasn't changed. Yeah, okay. Let's see. So the first one I did was Kane and Bentancur. It says Game Week 12 here. This was for Game Week 11, I believe. So I had Kane and Bentancur. Kane got 9 points. Bentancur with an assist got 5. And you had Bone and Skamaka back then, who got 4 points between them. So this closed the gap. This put us on 47 points apiece over the course of the season. So I was very happy because you obviously nailed it the week before. And then in Game Week 12, you went for 2 Brighton lads. Dunk with an 8-pointer, Trossard with a 3-pointer, which was decent. Like that was a good return. And I had Trippier with a 9-pointer and Bruno Guimaraes with a 6-pointer, which I loved. So
Game Week, me now.
Yeah. So Game Week 10 points, I got 15, you got 11, 62 to 58. Now, Wes, you got to pick first this week. So this is who you've picked for this week. I'm slightly ahead. You're playing catch up of about 4 points. Talk to us. I've just seen there is the picture still in the downstairs toilet, chap. So last year our forfeit was whoever lost had to paint a portrait of the other person and hang it in their downstairs bathroom. It lasted longer than the 30 days promised. It lasted probably about 6 months, but it's gone now. I think it's in the attic. Maybe it's behind me. I'll go and find it.
I remember seeing it ended up behind you for a little while as well. I think we should give it away as a prize at the end of the season or something.
Yeah, it sat in my downstairs toilet for about 6 months. I don't know if anyone wants it.
Yeah, an original Nellis will sell for a few quid in a few years' time. Turn it into an NFT.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes. My double up is who I've been talking about him quite a lot so far this week. So yeah, if Xhaka does well this week, I'll part of my double up, and likewise Saka. I've kind of looked at the fixtures and thought that was on paper one of the easiest fixtures. Top of the league against near maybe bottom of the league still, but for the last 3-4 weeks, the managers changed their formation, changed the way they play. They're much harder to actually score against. So it's not 2 or 3 game weeks ago, Forest was a gimme for goal scores, wasn't it? Leicester battered them like 4-0 or something. I don't know. Will Arsenal be able to batter them 3 or 4-0? I don't actually know. Because Forest, they've been a couple of clean sheets, shut out Liverpool, shut out Brighton, 2 decent teams. So let's see. I think Arsenal will still score against them. And Xhaka and Saka are the 2 players, along with the likes of Martinelli, who are most likely to be involved in their goals. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that choice, and super differential at only 0.02% ownership overall combined.
I think they're nice picks. I hope they both blank. But I think the logic sound.
I do too because of FPL.
Yeah, I've went absolutely. Oh, I like that. An original. It's almost like original. Maybe I need to draw Divock Origi and then call it an original. Anyway, I'm going down the rabbit hole. My double up picks for this week, I've went rogue ways. I've went oh my god, this guy's crazy. He could have went for Liverpool. He could have went for City. But I went for Manchester United. And I went crazy. I went Bruno Fernandes and Anthony. I just feel it. It's not the easiest fixture of all the fixtures, West Ham, but I don't know. I've got a feeling in my plums, and I'm willing to bet the bag on it. I'm willing to bet the beard on it. Fernandes and Tony, the 2 mids. Fernandes is going to assist Anthony, and when that happens, you just can all turn around and go, yeah, big tones. You just can all turn around and go, John, you're a hero.
I like it. Anthony's scored a few goals since he's joined Man United. Started off really well, and Fernandes probably has penalties back with Ronaldo not getting much game time in the Premier League. You'd think maybe. So, yeah, I mean, could he? And again, that's really low ownership as well. So, I'm surprised it's even that high. To be fair, 0.02%. I suppose there's a few Man United fans in the top 10k. But yeah, no, good shout, and it's very out there, which is what this is all about, isn't it?
In the spirit of the game. Yeah. So. What we have to do is we're gonna do some quick fire questions, and we'll finish with your team reveal in terms of, or maybe we could do it the other way around. It's up to you.
You, Matt. Yeah, I'm easy. Just as you do that, I saw something in the comments and it made me want to talk about him. Just quickly to insert a very small section. Alex Iwobi, John, a player that neither of us are considering for our own teams, I'm sure. However, like we said with DCL, maybe he should have been in our differential section instead of someone like Robertson. To be fair. Because the fixtures are decent for Everton, and Iwobi is a much changed player this year. A bit like he's had a role change as well. He's now a central midfielder, a number 8, playing really well. I think assists so far this season, it's like 5 or 6.
5, yeah.
And he got 2 nice assists last game week. Just a completely different player, like Xhaka is with his new role. He's now Iwobi and Xhaka are both assets who I'd always put in the category of don't even consider putting them in your FPL team. They are not FPL players. This season, they are FPL options. You don't have to have them, but they're budget enablers. They've got some attacking returns in their locker. And as a differential punt, both of them two are decent options, if that makes sense.
No, I hear you. Definitely worth bringing up. I'm just about to get my little notepad ready because we're going to tally up and see how many you can answer, Wes. But I think it's time for quick fire questions, and we'll have a quick look at what we're both planning on doing for next week.
Nice,
so this is a little bit of participation required from you. How cheesy is that? Get in the comments and ask us questions. Ask Wes questions that are yes or no, or A or B style. So do I go Zaha or Saka is a good question. What isn't a good question is who should I replace Zaha for? Because that's open-ended. Should I get rid of such and such? That's a bit of a crap question. But we can answer that yes or no, but don't expect much depth. Maybe I'm explaining this badly. Yes or no, or A or B, or C style questions. And Wes is going to try and answer as many as he can in 5 minutes. The record is 53 from Bakar. Wes likes a little bit more context. So how many do you think you're going to get today, Wes?
32.
32?
That's what I'm aiming for.
32 is what you're aiming for. Okay, get them in, because if I run out, the game stops and Wes will be snapping because he has no questions to answer. If I ask you the same question twice, hit like as well. But if I ask you the same question twice, just answer it, Wes. And if anyone puts in any questions that are non-FPL related, they might get scattered in as well. And we'll try and bang out as many as we can. So make sure you get in the comments. We'll resolve your debates, your dilemmas for the upcoming game week. Wes will give you his honest answer. All right. Are we ready to give it a crack?
Yeah, let's go.
I need to set my timer. My little watch is out of battery, so I'm going to have to stick it on the old phone. You ready?
Let's go.
Okay. 5 minutes starts now. Bench Pereira or Eze?
Eze.
Alex Iwobi, yes or no?
Yes.
Captain Saka?
Still Haaland, unless we hear otherwise. Vice captain Saka's fine.
Is Calvert-Lewin on penalties?
Guess so. I think he was before his injury, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Will Haaland play this weekend?
I think so, yeah. I don't think it's too serious personally, but we'll have to wait and see.
Bowen to Zaha?
No, I'm not fancying Zaha at the minute. He's in my team, but he's just playing too wide.
Bench Zaha or Andreas?
I've got the same dilemma. I'm currently benching Zaha. I could change my mind, of course, but yeah, that's where my head's currently at.
Play Johnny or Guehi?
Probably Gay at home, Southampton, yeah. And Wolves have obviously just been battered as well, 4-0, so yeah.
Keep triple Newcastle defence or go Shar to Ben White?
I do like Shar. I do like Ben White as an option, especially this week, and his nice attacking option. He got an assist last game week, so yeah, I like that. If you've got nothing else to do and the rest of your team's perfect, do that.
Next week, with 2 free transfers, Salah and Mitrovic to Rashford and Kane.
Yes, because Mitrovic has 2 tough games, so that makes sense, yeah.
Zaha to Foden and Solanke to Wilson for a -4.
I do like those moves. Do I like them for a -4? I think with Solanke's injury and it means you get Foden in midfield, I think, yes, I do like that move, yeah.
Iwobi or Eze?
Iwobi.
Defender with the best fixtures over the next 3 weeks. That's a bit open-ended for this game. Gordon, Iwobi or Almiron?
Ooh, Almiron. I don't think we spoke about Almiron much, but yeah, great asset at the minute.
Yeah.
Doing really well.
Play Anthony or Andreas?
I don't know if I'm just skewed by my own team and wanting to start Andreas, but I think Andreas.
I think it's Andreas. Even though I picked Anthony for the double up, I think it's Andreas. Firmino to Jesus?
Yes, I think if Darwin's back fit, Firmino's game time is a little bit doubtful in terms of might share minutes, so yeah.
Doherty to Gabriel on a free transfer.
Jesus is on 4 yellows, though, just to point that out. Sorry, say that again, John.
Good man. Doherty to Gabriel?
No, I think stick by Doherty.
Mitrovic to DCL?
Not this week, but next week, yes.
Salah and Andreas or Foden and Anthony?
I think Salah and Andreas, or potentially Foden and Andreas, and then save yourself a load of cash.
De Bruyne and Mitrovic or Foden and Kane for a -4?
Yeah, not the first option. Avoid the minus in that instance. They're all good options.
Guehi to Doherty?
Yes, for the attacking threat. Gay doesn't have much attacking threat.
Next 3, Saka or Zaha?
Saka. Don't know what I thought about that.
Saka, okay. Zaha to Almiron?
Again, you're taking up a player with a good fixture this week, but yeah, out of which player do I prefer? I prefer Almiron and also the money saved as well.
If Haaland doesn't start, do we vice-captain Darwin or Kane?
Probably vice-captain Kane away at Bournemouth, I believe.
Ivan Toney or Mitrovic?
Mitrovic just much more consistent, isn't he? So I
Yeah.
prefer Mitrovic right now. Like I say, Tony's probably got the better fixtures combined over the next three.
-4, Perisic and Solanke to Jesus and White.
Yeah, I think so. You're getting a good fixture this week, and you're getting two nailed on assets rather than an injured player and a bit of a rotation risk player.
Kind of on the same point. If you have Perisic, do you prioritise selling?
I don't know. I think he got rested last game, didn't he? I don't. Perisic is just such an awkward player to own, and for that reason, that's why I don't own him, even though I like his attacking threat. So I think, yeah, if you can go for someone more reliable, it makes more sense. So yeah, do that if possible.
Xhaka or Almiron?
Oh, so difficult. I'll edge towards Almiron, I think, but I really like them both as assets, like I say.
Tony or DCL?
I still am on Tony just for his consistency, but like I say, one more week for DCL, then he's definitely a good option.
One of these questions, man. Bailey or Andreas? My goodness. Bailey or Andreas? Where's the mold?
Andreas still. I know Bailey had a really good week last week, but yeah, still Andreas for his consistency.
Nunez or Aubameyang?
I don't like either.
Time up. You said you'd get 32. You got to 30, Wes.
Not bad.
Not bad. I seen one in there that was a nice one that was a bit different from FPL. Burger or pizza?
Probably burger. Which one was you? Which one was you laughing at?
I'm not telling you. It shall not be repeated ever. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to look at what we're going to do for next week on the My Team Tool and Fantasy Football Hub. Before we do, please do like the video, like the channel. I was going to say, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and you can find us both if you want to on our little handles. Are down here. I like to point with my head because it makes people look a bit more other side.
I think I've seen the comment, by the way, John. But
get out! Don't even allude to it. It just promotes it. All right, so game week 14. Here's how my team is set up, and I am rolling, baby. My vice captaincy currently on Salah. But I don't even know if I like that. It might change. Now, Castagna will not be starting against... I will be switching Guehi in against Southampton instead of Castagna against Man City.
Yeah.
And my only debate then, I suppose, becomes Andreas. Like, can he come on for any of these guys who are starting? I don't think he can. So I have a nice team. Roll it. I have $1 million in the bank. Roll it. And next week I'll have 2 free transfers where I can maybe go Salah and Mitrovic or Salah and someone for the likes of a Harry Kane and another. I just think information will be key. Still a bit of mileage to go in Europe, and with a lot of obviously full set of fixtures at the weekend. I just think a lot can happen.
Yeah. I
want the information. I don't feel there's enough upside here in me making a wee transfer like Zaha to Saka or something. I feel like it's a wee bit luxury.
I like it, John. And actually, looking at your team there, we have 10 of the same starting 11. The only difference is going to be I'm going to have Eric Dyer, where you've got Guehi. Probably both score within the range of 2 to 6 points, don't they? They either get a clean sheet or they probably blank.
This is your team on the screen now. Actually, I've swapped Andreas in for Zaha. So Zaha first bench, and you're it's Bowen to De Bruyne was already done, wasn't it? Bowen to Foden.
Foden, yes, it was. So I'm a little bit behind the curve, actually. I got away with it last week because Foden blanked. I would have wanted Foden in for last week. I was surprised he was benched, but I've finally made that move now. The reason I'm a little bit behind the curve, for your situation, you've managed to roll a transfer. I couldn't do that because, like I said, I wanted to do Bowen to Foden. The reason is because I did that sort of very unusual for my style. But I hopped off of, because I wanted Salah, I actually hopped off Haaland for one game week and then I brought him back in. So I had to use that transfer to get Haaland last week. So yeah, I'm a little bit behind the curve because of the strategy that I employed a couple of game weeks ago, which hasn't worked out so far, but let's see. And apart from that, I'm relatively happy with how I'm set up. And
vice
although
captaincy?
I'm jealous of you, say again, sorry?
Vice captaincy?
Yeah, like you've got it set up there. It's currently on Salah. Again, a bit default just in terms of he's a premium, he's Salah, he's got Leeds at home. Current form's a bit, like we've already touched upon, not great. And like I said, you could easily sell him this week or captain him. It's really weird. But I think out of the players I've got up, there's those attacking positions, I feel like with that Leeds fixture, if you didn't have Leeds, I'd probably vice captain someone like a Mitrovic at home to Everton. But or maybe if I don't normally like going for the same game because of like a hangover from COVID stuff. But if we know Haaland's out, maybe I'll change my vice captain to Foden. Don't know. But you can't back against Salah too much. He's still a great asset. Still on penalties. He's got Leeds at home. Leeds are under pressure. Might sack their manager. They just lost at home 3-2 against Fulham. So they're conceding goals, and as poor as Liverpool have been, are Liverpool really going to stop? Sorry, are Leeds going to be able to stop Liverpool, and are they going to be able to stop Salah? I wouldn't bet on that happening. So yeah, I think it's a solid vice captain shout.
So I've brought Pope in for Ward. I made that mistake. You've 65 predicted points, 64.9. I'm sure you'd probably take that now, would you?
Yeah, I think so. As always with the predicted points, it just depends, doesn't it? Like last week I got 55, but that was mainly because of Haaland captain that everyone has. I need my sort of fringe players doing better really, and they haven't been doing. No one's really got Dyer. No one really had Bowen last week. Likewise, I don't think Tony is necessarily hugely owned, but it was though I guess our teams are both fairly template, but my fringe players last week all sort of blanked. So that was, mate. I guess your fringe player last week really helped you out with Castagna.
Yeah, big time.
That was the difference between a red and a green. So yeah, I'd like a random little Tottenham 1-0 win with a Dyer goal would be great. Obviously not likely, but he can occasionally pop up with a goal from a corner. So yeah, I just need that little bit of luck, hopefully this week.
Well, guys, this is a free feature over on Fantasy Football Hub. You can go over and have a look. If you use the link in the description and you do decide to pay, you'll get 30% off. The paid part of this is you can scan ahead and look ahead forward to future game weeks. So next week, just looking there, you're going to have a wee bit of a nightmare, Wes, in terms of Dyer having Liverpool at home. Maybe that's not a nightmare. Salah has Spurs. Martinelli has Chelsea. Andreas has City. Mitrovic has City. So nightmare's maybe a bit strong. But the fixtures certainly get a bit more difficult in 15.
Yeah.
And then in game week 16, and obviously you'll have made a change or two in the meantime. You've got some nice fixtures there. I mean, Saha can come in for whoever, let's say, and you're back to looking golden. So it's nice to be able to look ahead and plan like that. I think if I roll next week, I'm going to be looking, this is what I'd be looking at next week because I am rolling. I think it leaves me in a good place with $1 million in the bank. And 2 free transfers to go Salah and Mitrovic out to probably Kane for the Leeds fixture, plus whoever in midfield. It depends who looks the best option next week. So that's what
Is DCL gonna? That's the thing. These players like DCL and stuff, they are tempting, but then if you can afford someone like Kane, it's just a no-brainer, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's so hard to get on these differentials that we all. Like Almiron, Xhaka, even Iwobi, and even DCL now, there's such nice, exciting options, but then the more straightforward options, like who have just been doing the business all season, like Kane, just end up coming into our team correctly, but unlike Foden and Saka, obviously coming in ahead of the likes of Iwobi, but be interesting to see how these differentials do.
Look, I mean, a lot can change, and maybe someone like, I don't know, like a Saka comes in for Wolves and West Ham, but even Trossard will have Villa and Southampton. So you can bring in Kane and Trossard there, another 2.2 in the bank. I don't know. Yeah. Next week's going to be crazy.
Yeah, and a reminder to everyone to think short term right now. Just consider, I'm seeing people say, so-and-so has 6 good fixtures. That's pretty irrelevant now. Literally only look up to game week 16, so you only need to look at 3 fixtures. For example, take someone like Mitrovic. I'd probably ride out his... If there wasn't these unlimited transfers in game week 17, I'd probably ride Mitrovic's tough fixtures out. But we don't have to do that right now. We can think short term. So just look at those. Yeah, so teams who have really good fixtures from game 15 to 16, you can take a bit of a punt on them. West Ham have 2 good fixtures, John, both at home. So maybe someone like a Zuma, or maybe jumping back to Bowen, maybe Skamaka, a differential striker who can score goals. 2 easy home fixtures might not be the worst shout in the world. So yeah, you can afford to think shorter term now rather than the common phrase, FPL is a marathon, not a sprint. Right now, we're sprinting up until game week 16, so just a few game weeks to attack, basically.
If I was to ask you for one piece of parting advice for the week, what would it be?
It'd probably be what I've just said. Another piece of parting advice, be patient. The last piece will be this then. Be patient with Haaland. We might get more news that he plays this week. Don't be imagine transferring him out now thinking he's going to miss out and he doesn't. Could just be a huge gamble. I know people will be tempted to do that for the likes of Kane, but yeah, hold tight with Haaland. You need a very good reason to sell him. Like if it turns out he has got a long-term injury, then obviously you can sell him. But if he's only going to miss 1 game week, play Andreas instead. Be patient with Haaland is what I would say. Watch out for news from Twitter's going to be all over the Haaland news, so watch out for reliable news over there.
Yeah, my two final is just vice captain. We've said it all the way through. Just make sure it's a good player. And second, with Haaland, I actually think even if he's out for the next 3, there's an argument to keep him because you're going to want them in January and you're going to lose a load of value. Now, maybe that's absolute madness and maybe I'm wrong, but what I'm saying is if he isn't confirmed to be out for 3 game weeks or whatever it is, don't even think about getting rid of him. Do not go Haaland to Kane, in my opinion, based off of missing 1 week. I think you'd be absolutely mad because everyone's going to want them. Like the video on your way out for us. It helps us big time here. Please subscribe to Fantasy Football Hub. Lots of great videos. We've got Bakar on tomorrow, 11 a.m. I believe we're streaming. Might be about 10 past 11 by the time we're live. And then we've got the Green Arrow as well tomorrow. And then it's the weekend and we've got football happening. I'm supposed to be off to Hamburg to watch St. Pauli play. So I'm excited for that. Any nice plans, Wes?
This weekend, back on Sky Sports News, actually. So
Ooh.
you'll see me there on Saturday morning. I know we've both done that now, John, a couple of times, haven't we? So
yeah, it's nice. What time's that? 20 to 11 or something?
Yeah, 10:30ish Saturday morning. So yes, stick on Sky Sports News.
Sky Sports News, Saturday morning, 10:30 for FPL advice with Wes here. And guys, we will see you later.